Prince Philip was with no doubt one of the most famous royal consort of the world, but as he always had to walk in the shadow of his wife, Queen Elizabeth II, his background and origin are lesser known. Therefore, we are taking a closer look into the lives of his parents, Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark and Princess Alice of Battenberg. Andrew was born near Athens on February 2, 1882. He was the first son of King George I of Greece, making him a grandson to Christian IX of Denmark. As a member of the House of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg, he was a prince of Denmark and Greece and was in the line of succession to both thrones, although he himself never became king. He spoke Greek, Danish, German, French, English, and Russian. After attending cadet school and staff college in Athens, Prince Andrew joined the Greek army as a cavalry officer in May 1901 at the age of 19. During his stay in London due to the coronation of King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra, who happened to be his aunt, he met Princess Alice of Battenberg. Alice was the daughter of Prince Louis of Battenberg and Princess Victoria of Hesse by Rhine. By the way, her mother was the sister of the last Tsarina of Russia, Alexandra Feodorovna, making Alexandra a great aunt to Prince Philip. Due to his close relation to the last Russian imperial family, Philip was one of the persons to give up a DNA sample to identify their bodies when they were found in 1979. Alice was born in 1885 at Windsor Castle in the presence of her great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. She spent her childhood all across Europe, living in Darmstadt, London, and Malta, where her father was stationed as naval officer. She was diagnosed with deafness at quite a young age, but learned to lip read and speak in English and German. Now back to the start of Andrew's and Alice's love story. They immediately fell in love at the coronation and married the following year on October 6, 1903 in a civil wedding in Darmstadt, Germany. On the next day, a Lutheran and Greek Orthodox ceremony were held. Their wedding was one of the greatest gathering of the descendants of Queen Victoria and Christian IX before World War I. She adopted the style of her husband, being known as Princess Andrew from then on. Both spouses were closely related to the ruling houses of the United Kingdom, Germany, Russia, and Greece. After their wedding, Andrew continued his work in military and Alice became involved in charity work. In 1908, the political situation in Greece was worsening after the Athens government refused to support the Cretan government, which requested a union between Crete and the mainland. A group of dissatisfied officers formed the Greek Nationalist Military League that eventually led to Prince Andrew's resignation from the army. At the beginning of the Balkan Wars in 1912, Andrew was reinstated in the army as a lieutenant colonel. Alice acted as nurse during the Balkan Wars, assisting at surgeries and setting up field hospitals. She was awarded the Royal Red Cross in 1913 by George V for her work. During World War I, Andrew's brother, King Constantine, who followed a neutrality policy during the war, was forced to abdicate in 1917 in favor of his oldest son, who became known as Alexander I. Andrew and Alice were forced into exile and lived in Switzerland. After Alexander's quite young death at the age of 27 due to an infection caused by a monkey bite, Constantine was restored to the throne and Andrew was once again reinstated in the army. Following this, the family briefly returned to Greece. By now, Andrew and Alice already had 4 daughters together: Margarita, Theodora, Cecilia, and Sophie. They took up residence in Monrepus, Corfu, where in 1921 the future Prince Philip was born. After the defeat of the Greek army in the Greco-Turkish War, a revolutionary committee was formed and forced King Constantine to abdicate once again. Prince Andrew, who served as commander during the war, was arrested and sentenced to banishment. The family was forced to flee from Greece once again and boarded a British cruiser on which they had to travel with their Danish passports as they were stripped of their Greek nationality. Andrew, Alice, and their 5 children firstly settled in a small house close to Paris. The couple started growing apart after Alice suffered a nervous breakdown and had to be treated in Switzerland. She was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. During the same time, all of their daughters married German princes and moved to Germany, while Philip was sent to school in Britain. Andrew moved down to the south of France and lived in a small apartment. After Alice's 2-year stay in Switzerland, she went back to Greece where she lost all ties to her family. In 1937, their then pregnant daughter Cecilia, her husband, and 2 of their grandchildren were killed in a plane crash. It was at her funeral where Andrew and Alice met for the first time in 6 years. At the outbreak of World War II, Andrew remained in France while his son Philip fought on the side of the British. At the same time and for the duration of the whole war, Alice stayed in Athens with her sister-in-law, Princess Nicholas of Greece. Alice once again entered charity work, working for the Red Cross. She helped organize soup kitchens and even flew to Sweden to bring back medical supplies. In addition, she organized 2 shelters for orphaned and lost children. In September 1943, Athens was occupied by the German army. A small minority of Greek Jews had sought refuge in Athens, and around 60,000 of them were deported to Nazi camps, where all of them but 2,000 sadly were killed. Alice had one family during this time at her residence and saved their lives. Alice and Andrew were still married at this point and had hoped to reunite after war, as they hadn't seen each other since 1939. But this never happened since Andrew died on December 3, 1944, of a heart failure. Upon his death, his son Philip traveled to his last residence to pick up his belongings. Alice, from now on a widow, returned to the UK for the wedding of her son Philip to the then Princess Elizabeth. Some of her remaining jewels were used for Elizabeth's engagement ring. She also attended the coronation of her daughter-in-law in 1953. Alice left Greece for the last time in 1967 as her health was deteriorating and she was getting increasingly deaf. She was invited by Philip and Elizabeth to stay at Buckingham Palace, where she died in December 1969. She was firstly buried at Windsor Castle, but as she wished to be buried in Jerusalem, her remains were transferred over in 1988. In 2010, Alice was posthumously named the Hero of the Holocaust by the British government for hiding the Jewish family during World War II. I hope I could bring you the lives of Prince Philip's parents closer, and I would be happy to see you back again at Back to History.